Welcome to Deep Thought. Pay attention to the prophets. You know what? People who followed me, they know I always mention Master Yao and Yamache Morris, and I even shared one of his videos on my main channel, right? And one thing about him, I would call him a modern day prophet because he's able to see stuff that's coming in the future. He's able to predict stuff, and you know, I know some of the methods he does to do that, but I won't get into that in this podcast, right? Just know it's accurate. And like, for an example, I remember in a book that Master Yao wrote back in 2006. And if it was written in 2006, that means he had the information for it way before that, right? That's just the publication date. But he made a brief statement about sailing ships coming back into use on the nation's oceans. And now he has said a few decades. It turned out actually happened quicker. Because I happened the other day be looking at, just looking up some stuff. And I thought about that prediction. And I said, let me look this up real quick. Lo and behold, over in Europe, they're starting to use sailing ships to move stuff. They are coming back into vogue. And, you know, one of the reasons Master Yao said this would happen was that what they're doing now is unsustainable. Takes a lot of fuel to move those big ships, and there's a lot of issues with that. But it's interesting he has said that, and I'm quite sure some people say, "Hey, no way, they wouldn't have sailing ships back. Isn't that going backwards?" Apparently not. Wind power is cheap and plentiful, and shoot, we should know enough nowadays to be able to harness it. And plus, the ships aren't totally on sale. I mean, but more of a hybrid system where they don't have to use as much fuel, which is smart. But this isn't about this. And I mean, you know, and another person right on YouTube who said a lot of stuff that's coming to pass now, and he was talking about it years ago. He mentioned he had talked about it years ago, was the master teacher BGS. That's another one. I mean, and there's a lot of stuff coming where you have people who see it coming. They try to tell people, but people poo-poo it. You know, they'd rather know what's going on the Wendy Williams show or the latest Love and Hip Hop, whatever. You know, Love and Hip Hop ghetto style or something like that, right? Like people, like there's stuff coming. People see it. They try to warn people, but then they'll say, "Oh, they're crazy," because they thinking in the moment. And this is normal. This ain't, and you know, just to be clear, this ain't just a black person thing. I mean, this is, if you look at the holy books, you know, you always had a prophet. You always had a prophet that came and said, look, this is coming. You know, we need to prepare. And people didn't do it. Right? One of the things, see, in the population, particularly with men, and of course you have some women, they can do it, right? But it's different with men, the male prophets, because the women have an intuition about things, and if they really develop their gifts, a woman can actually just see the whole picture of what's coming, but she might not know how to get there. Men by nature, especially if they have their ego faculty developed within them, which means to see ahead, the ego will use history, the information they have, and be able to project something. That's what futurists do. They take information from different sources and then project what's coming by looking at what's happened in the past. So they can see, so they look out and they can see what's coming. And they try to tell people, but a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people they'll believe what's in the media. Or they'll believe somebody say, oh, it's okay because some authority figure will say, oh, this is what's going to happen. Or even if someone in the media said, "Oh, this is what's coming," people still don't believe it. But you can see a lot of stuff. Like back in 2001, I used to read the business pages, and I used to see all these companies. It was like every day, all these companies were going out of business. They were going out of business. They were going bankrupt. And I said, this is back in 2001. Now, we had a little mini recession back then, but I said this is going to cause some problems long term. What do we have now? Like somebody, like a lot of times, even some corporations aren't forward thinking enough. They're thinking in the moment, or the stockholders are thinking, okay, I'm gonna get some money out of this. But when we, that's here and there, but when we get into the community, we have people out here who are telling you what's coming, right? They are telling you what's coming. Like, you have people telling you universal basic income is coming. You still got people fighting it, but I'm just like, dude, you gotta look at the times and stuff. The jobs are disappearing. Things are being automated. And the people at the top, they still want to make money, so they basically giving you money to spend. They want you to still spend money. So if they got to pay a little bit extra, they actually get that money back. They get it, with things like the multiplier effect and compound interest, shoot, they get it back in spades. So giving you a little bit of money, that's like me. That's like me giving you $100, right? I give you $100, and I know you're going to come back and spend it on my product, right? And I take the money from that. I take that money and, I put it into some accounts. I invested in stuff. I actually make it back. So bottom line, it's coming. But this video isn't for that. Pay attention when anybody runs into somebody who gives if they say, hey, this is coming, right? Even no matter how crazy it sounds, unless you have absolute expertise in whatever they say is coming. And when I say absolute, like mastery, unless you just know better, right? If you don't know the field or you see something coming, just do the research. Do your own research. Just say, you know what, I'm going to check this out. I'm going to see if this has any weight to it. Because there's a lot of times, because the thing is, once any of these prophets, and I'm going to say a prophet, it's not even just necessarily in a spiritual sense. We could use, if you're uncomfortable with that, use the word forecaster. Use the term futurist, pundit. I mean, you've had plenty of people predict the recessions that were coming way before they happened. And they told people. They told people, it's like, look, you need to start putting some money away. This is going to happen. And then you have some people they can see not just what's coming, but the implications of what's coming. You have tons of people who do this. So this is very important. This is very important to understand, to get into, to figure out. Right? Very important. Pay attention when someone is. And see, here's the thing. You don't have to just automatically go for what they're saying. But research it. Take notes and then research it yourself. Learn some research skills, right? Figure it out. Figure out what have they done to figure out how they do, how their methodology. Because most people who forecasting stuff, unless they were blessed with some, some spiritual gift, most of the time they've studied that area. They've seen the trends. They can spot them. Shoot, sometimes you can get somebody who's just good at like fashion or something. They can spot a trend. Just pay attention to them. And that's all I'm saying. Because in doing that, and listening to the prophets, the eagles, the forecasters, you're prepared for it. You already prepared for what's happening. Like right now, it's gonna be tough to get credit. So I'm like slowly putting myself in a position where I don't use credit cards or anything. I have a couple credit cards, but I'm about to pay them off and just sit on them. They'll just be for emergency. So, whatever the case, pay attention to the prophets. That's all I have for today. Peace and blessings.